Hello, my name's O.B. Amaechi. I just released my first book, The Intentional Five, VERGE, Confessions of a Disciplined Thought. Please go check it out on wakeupthesoul.com. I'll be having a virtual book launch in collaboration with 5 artists. These 5 artists are going to actually be taking one of the letters from the acronym VERGE and connecting it to their artwork. So it's going to be quite an experience. Tune in on November 21st, that's Saturday, from 5 p.m. PST, Pacific, excuse me, yeah, Pacific Standard Time. And for those of you on the East Coast, 8 o'clock, tap in and learn more about what I have to offer and what we're going to share. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I mean, um, it started off actually because I have a friend who's from the UK, and she came to visit me once in LA, so we talk every so often. And I was in the process of finishing up my book, and we just continued to start talking. And she's into film; she's a videographer, and all of a sudden she was like, "Hey," she's like, "I'm just gonna paint a picture of you," and I'm like, "All right, cool." And she actually was really good. So the picture that she painted was a really great picture, a really good painting. And I told her, like, look, that's beautiful. Like, I never would have imagined you as an artist, knowing that you only did film. So she was like, no, I used to do it years ago and I stopped for 5 years. So somehow it just made me think even deeper and say, you know what, there's a lot of people that actually have stories to share as well. That doesn't necessarily only have to be in the education field, because my book is based on my experience in education. But the 5 values also represent other disciplines, other industries, and it leads people into a place of realizing that they can actually do great things from that as well. So after speaking with her, I realized that it would be great to collaborate with artists. And with collaborating with artists, I'd be able to have people understand what Verge truly means, not independent of just one discipline, but just for people in general, and what it means to be well, what it means to um, use those values in order to put your life into a place of more purpose. This is actually a creation that, like I said, I just thought about it with my friend from the UK, and I went online and said, hey, is there a way that I can have a virtual art space, a virtual gallery? And I just Googled it and I found one. So, whatever you guys are looking to do, it's out there. So from that place, now you guys will be able to witness our my Zoom virtual book launch in a virtual gallery. So you'll be able to see the artwork displayed in a virtual space, where it's almost like you are in a gallery. So that's the beauty of it. I think it's going to be a great experience as we dissect their work, but also in conjunction with how it ties into Verge. And I would love for you guys to be there and don't miss it. The acronym for Verge, each letter, so B represents vulnerability, E represents experiences, R represents relationships, G represents gratitude, and the last E represents evaluation. So it's supposed to work together. It's not independent, but if you really think about it, if you have those 5, it's going to help you be more intentional about your decisions, and also just live a life of more thoughtfulness and being able to make headway in whatever area you're in. So I self-published the book. Part of the reason I self-published it is because I wanted the creativity to design it how I wanted it to be. Um, I'm also a designer, so I have my own clothing brand. So everything that I do, there's an aesthetic to it, and that aesthetic is just, I feel like, because we're just creators, just not myself, but myself and everybody else in this world. We have the ability to create. So I take that very seriously in creating things that look and feel right to myself. So very early on, I knew I wanted to design what the book looked like, and I set it up where there's sections in it, intentional do now. So there's little sections in it where you can take a minute and do different practices. So it's little components where you can stop and self-assess and do little activities in the book. And then there's other components to the book where it's more focused on those 5 values. So I broke it into 5 sections. Vulnerability. So I have examples of my experiences that had to hone in on what it meant to be more vulnerable. I had another section for experiences, and it just talks a little bit um, about what it means to use those different experiences and how it helped me as leverage to get to the next level and where I was going. Yes. So that's very true. I mean, I actually rewrote the book. So the first time I wrote the book, it wasn't as vulnerable because I was creating a discipline model for teachers in different school systems. So it was more of like a, hey, this is a cookie cut sheet of how to work with students and how to get them to the next level type of thing. I realized that it turned into a situation where it had to take the person to experience what I experienced to execute the plan the way I created it to be. So if I wasn't there showing everyone how to do it, then it didn't really make sense. So I was like, you know what? I think I need to be a little bit more vulnerable and share my experiences and my mindset, my thought process behind working with students or working with people in general, and how it got me to that place of being successful. And I'm glad I took the time to do that. And it was very vulnerable for me. It was a vulnerable place for me to continue to do that because I was pretty much done with the book, and I had to stop, go back, and start at the skeleton level again. So yeah, so you guys are in for a treat. I was very strategic about not focusing on telling people what to do, but more so allowing them to learn through that skeleton of what Verge is and through my experiences. So you can see my experiences and how it worked out for me, and realize that there's a place for you in that whole frame of Verge as well. Being on the verge is not just for me, but it may look a little different for you, and that's why I made sure that Verge was just considered the guideline, and I didn't say, A, do this, B, do this. Everything in that book is for you, regardless of what field, whatever industry you're in. It's just about wellness within ourselves to help teachers um, have better interactions with students. So I started off writing the book to create a discipline. So I actually created a discipline system within a school that did away with detention. So it was called intention, and it was me as well as the dean of the school at the time. This is actually when I was a behavior intervention specialist, and we worked alongside as well as with the guidance counselors, social workers, and we worked together to create a system where we were being intentional about how we were working with students and having students think about, hey, what was your intention in that behavior that you've just exhibited? What was the mindset? What was your thought process before doing that? So I realized that a lot of the times students would stop and say, well, I threw that chair because this person wasn't listening to me. And I was like, oh, okay. So your intent was to have someone listen to you. So it takes us back to going into why are we doing things? And let's think about how we can use different ways of getting that thing done. So you wanted to get attention of this person. Let's try this instead. So it was really, really, um, I think it was really, really ambitious for me to try to do that for multiple schools, and then realizing that you would have to stop and break down and think through it just like how I did with the students. And that seems a little bit more complex, especially if someone's like so hell bent on saying, no, this kid is bad, so no way, da da da. There's no way they're gonna read that and handle it the way I handled it. So rather than keeping it in that way, I felt like it would be better for me to go through my experiences. I've never really took the time to do that, and of course, it's really vulnerable because I was just the type of educator that I knew what worked, and those that wanted to come and get that information to help them in their classrooms, or parents would come to me and ask me questions, and I'd give that information. But for those that didn't come, I wasn't able to, I wasn't going to force it down your throat. So this was a now way where I can reach more people by creating a book where if you pick it up, now you have a choice here. You can take this at face value, or you can put it to the side, but it's not going to be me having to be the person in your face saying, hey, you need to do this because it works. And I think even with students that are in a lot of trouble all the time, teachers get frustrated, and it's more than just the teacher getting frustrated, because once a teacher gets frustrated, then there's a lot of things that happen within that teacher from their past that just surface up now. Now, whatever you're thinking about that kid, you're thinking about another kid that acted that way. So teachers will tend to take those experiences, the ones that don't handle it correctly, they'll tend to take those experiences that feed that same energy, and they'll put more fire into it, realizing that that's actually not fixing the problem. You're just making this kid see you as somebody that doesn't see them as a whole person. Being able to see that rage in a kid and realize, okay, there's a reason for this. There's a reason this kid is acting this way. And how do I get to that root instead of me just going inside of myself and being that upset person, controlling myself, and being able to be balanced so I can help somebody else. The book on my website. My website is wakeupthesoul.com. I know some of you guys may say, why not Amazon? I'm trying to, generate all these funds for myself and really engage in my audience. So I want everyone to know that this is personal to me. So I want to be able to reach out to people that are purchasing the book right away. I'd say in a later date, you can find the book on Amazon, but right now everything is being funneled to my website. Once again, that's www.wakeupthesoul.com. And my Instagram handle is OB_connected. So OB_connected. That's CONNECTED. Feel free to send me a message, a DM, anything, and I will reply, even if it's 2 days later. I will. So, Paula, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate being on this platform. It's totally major. And I am so glad to be here to share the Intentional 5 Verge with you and your listeners. You guys tune in, check in. You'll be hearing about me some more. Have a good one.